Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Sagittarius energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Sagittarius. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius. We all have free will and we have to make decisions in our life, and in our more high vibrational nature, we might want to do life a little differently than we've been doing it. But the bottom row can just represent our comfort zone, but it can also be some of our fears and our insecurities and self-limiting beliefs and things like that, other people in our life. We also have different people in our life who some people are more aligned with our more hopeful, believing, loving, just, fair, encouraging nature. And we can have some people in our life who want us to be in our shadowy energy, because then we'll keep staying at that job, being their friend, being in a relationship with them. And so if we want to move forward in life differently, or we want to kind of hang out with or align with people who are more aligned with our high vibe nature, some people that we have been hanging out with maybe won't like that. So we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives. Some people are battling within themselves. They'd like to live their life differently, but they got to work through some of their fears and insecurities. Other people have no interest in moving forward in life any differently. They're happy living their life the way they live it. You know, we're all at that stage of life at different times. And some people are moving forward in life differently. The truth sets us free. We healed, we grew, we mature, we ready to face our fears, something, and we do move forward in life differently. And when we're doing that, some other people aren't, and it's just to see the truth that everybody's at these different phases of life. And hopefully it won't be too confusing and you'll be able to follow along. Sagittarius energy is about higher learning and education, if that's what you're motivated and inspired by, and some people are, and some people aren't. Again, if the truth sets us free, you have to be willing to deal with the truth. And some people aren't ready to deal with the truth, don't want to see the truth, want to stay in denial of the truth. Sometimes people want to stay in denial about truths about themselves. Maybe they are kind of immature, bossy, controlling, manipulative, but they don't want to see the truth of it. Or they're more immature, self-indulgent, materialistic. They want to stay in denial of the truth of it. But other people can see the truth, and then other people can move on from them. But until they're willing to deal with the truth of it, or deal with the truth about the type of people they're maybe letting manipulate them, they'll keep letting it manipulate them. So the reason for the top rose reading is the Knight of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. It's the reason why the reading came out. And we all know all these different sorts of people in the world, and we can know people that in their Virgo energy, which everyone taps into Virgo energy, that they might be more still about themselves, more about the world, about indulgence, money, materialism, and not so much about learning lessons. Because when someone is holding the one pentacle in high vibe, it means that they've learned some lessons in life. And in high vibe energy, it's about realizing the truth that I do need to grow and heal and mature myself, and love is supposed to be just and fair. I'm supposed to treat other people the way I like to be treated, and some people haven't learned those lessons. In the top row, we have the Four of Pentacles, the Hangman, the Seven of Swords, and the Judgment card. Well, you have to call judgment on yourself and other people if you don't want to keep repeating an old pattern. Because we'll keep repeating an old pattern and living our life a certain way until we learn the lesson we were meant to learn from that phase of life. And the reason for the bottom rose reading is the Ten of Pentacles, which is also why the reading came out. The Ten of Pentacles can just represent that, again, these phases of life. There's a maximum of 10 in every suit. We had lived life at a certain phase of life. That phase of life could have come to an end, which then in turn can be reflected that we quit jobs, certain friendships or relationships, or we saw the truth that there was some way of living life that we didn't want to keep living our life that way, or viewing life that way, or we healed or matured in some way. So then we move forward into the next phase of life. We move forward in life differently. But sometimes when we move forward in life differently, we really did learn some lessons from that past experience. I don't want to live my life like that anymore. I don't think that way anymore. I don't view life that way anymore. I don't have the same pain and heartbreak or whatever that I used to have before. And you can get ready to move forward and have a new beginning and live life differently. But then we meet new people at that next phase of life. And some of those people really didn't learn the lesson, but people can try to present themselves as being, no, I'm not like I was before. I got out of that phase of life too. I'm not more selfish or greedy or immature or bossy or controlling, but they are. We can always try to present ourselves as being more high vibrational and more emotionally mature than we really are. And so it's to realize that just because we could meet people in the world who might like to do some of the things we like to do, we can always meet people at the next phase of life. Maybe they are more stable and grounded than some of the people that we were hanging out with before, but they can still be shadowy. And we can always hope for the best, but, we start out with some cards not showing themselves, and that can be that as we move forward in life, there's going to be people in our life where we both harness this energy in a more high vibrational way, and we've quit harnessing it in a more shadowy way. The Knight of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles. We're no longer defensive to having a new beginning. We've learned the lessons we meant to learn from a past life experience. I don't want to repeat that pattern of life. Just like going from age 15, 18, 21, 25, I learned the lessons I was meant to learn. I don't want to go back to acting like and living my life like I did back then. The people who authentically are who they say they are, they did learn those lessons. And they're holding back from going back and repeating that old pattern. There's ways of being and people in their life and ways of living life that they are holding back from. I don't want to do that anymore. When we add the 1 pentacle to the 3 of pentacles, we get the 4 of pentacles. There was ways of living life in the 3 of pentacles with people and me and how I viewed life or lived life, but I saw the truth. The Knight of Swords is Gemini energy, which in high vibe, people are more aligned with their hopeful, believing, loving nature and justice and fairness and balance. And they saw the truth that the way they were living their life wasn't conducive to bringing their dreams into reality. And they saw the truth of it. They saw where they needed to change. They saw certain ways of living life, viewing life, or people they were hanging out with that they needed to hold back from. They needed to take the lesson they learned, and that is their new foundation. And then, we go through this next phase of life. We learn lessons. We get to where we completed that phase of life, and we see what are the good building blocks to take with us, what are the building blocks that we thought were good building blocks that we realized aren't, and then we move forward again, and the cycle keeps repeating itself. But sometimes as we're moving forward in life, some other people are hiding that they're trying to move forward in a new way, but they're hiding, they're still, I don't know, mad, maybe in the Knight of Swords, at some people in their life who weren't just or fair or didn't work with them the way they wanted them to work with them. But if they're in shadowy energy, they're still more aligned with that old foundation than really having this new foundation. Now, if it's a job, it's different. You quit one job, you go work at another job, you kind of are done with that other job. But sometimes people can get out of a relationship but they're still defensive about investing in a new relationship, right? And so then they get in maybe a new relationship. And partly it could be because they want to send a message to the people in their past, like, look at me, I went and got in a new relationship. Look, I have someone else who's willing to work with me. Look, I've had a new beginning. But that's not a good reason to get, if that's still part of the motivation of why you're even getting into a relationship, that's not a good reason, right? And then they can get in relationships with people who are like, I'm really willing to invest in this new beginning. And then you don't kind of realize till time goes by, the high vibe people are trying to move something forward. And some of the people in their life who still haven't really become more independent of an old foundation, because high vibe energy and high vibe Virgo is about being more independent. And some people are still codependent on their friend group, their original family, the world, still more not ready to move on from other people in their life that they could have been in a relationship with, but they're hiding that truth. And they're hiding the truth about why they could go get in a relationship with someone else. So, as with some of those people, as we're trying to move things forward, we feel stuck. Things aren't moving forward. And then in the Seven of Swords, we can start to feel deceived and manipulated. And, we're trying to move something forward, and the other people seem to be reluctant to doing that. Also, we can get in relationships with people, and people are trying to move forward, maybe look like they're more healed and grown and matured than they are, but they could still hold on to their more egoic nature. Just that the Four of Pentacles can be people who don't really want to open up. If we're going to move forward in life differently, we would add the One Pentacle to the Four of Pentacles, and that would get us the Five of Pentacles, and we'd all kind of, again, it's one thing to quit living our life a certain way or moving away from certain people from the 3 to the 4, but then to really move forward in life differently, we've got to work through kind of still being in our ego about it, still kind of being up in our head about it, letting it kind of manipulate us, or still being tempted to live our life a way we used to or something. And the whole thing is we have to work through kind of our fear of moving forward in life differently. You have to be willing to get out of your ego and be willing to learn lessons in life and see there's some ways of being or something that need to be let go of. But again, some people want to move forward with other people, but the truth is they still want to invest in operating more from their egoic nature, which can be, in the Four of Pentacles, can be, I'm a little bit selfish. I don't really want to open up to believing in myself or trusting other people or believing in love, and I still have a lot of things in my head that manipulate me, or I get all caught up in my head instead of being able to look at life from a higher perspective and keep things in perspective and keep holding myself accountable for my actions and keep trying to put one foot in front of the other to keep moving forward in a more high vibrational way. And of course, as we're moving forward, it can be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But the high vibe people are determined to try to keep moving forward. And other people, again, just want to look like they're willing to move forward in life differently. But something might have ended in their life that they want to move forward with different people. But they could be hiding the truth that maybe part of the reason why some of those things ended is because they still harness these energies in a more shadowy way. But I want to be in a new friendship. I want to go get a new job. I want to get in a new relationship. but they really haven't seen the truth. And so it's to try to present themselves like they're a more emotionally mature person. People should hire them for jobs. People should be their friend. People should date them. People should marry them. But they're hiding the truth that they're still a little bit more about maybe themselves, about the world, about the past, more codependent, kind of stubborn. So high vibe people are harnessing high vibe Capricorn, Pisces, and Aquarius, and Virgo. And the more shadowy people could be harnessing shadowy Capricorn, Pisces, Aquarius, and a shadowy Virgo. I want you to let me move forward with you. It's good for my ego or my image or my status. Something else didn't work out. I want a new relationship of whatever sort. But they really still, it's more just because maybe something ended that they had to go get a new job, or they're looking for a new friend, or they're wanting to get in a new relationship. But they still really haven't been enlightened to the truth that they either get caught up in their head too much and they haven't learned how to offer truth and love to themselves, not to get caught up in their head and their fear, or that they, because of those reasons, or because they're kind of full of themselves, which can be shadowy Aquarius energy, that they take action more out of pride and ego. Like, and you're either being truthful and authentic and working together with people in a more emotionally mature way, or you're trying to present yourself as that type of person, but you're really trying to manipulate people to get them to do it the way you want, which is a more shadowy relationship. You should stay in this relationship with me out of your own fear of moving forward or having to go look for a new employee or a new friend or a new relationship. You should stay stuck with me. Something I had been in, or people saw the truth of me, didn't work out, and now I'm looking to find someone else to be the next person to stay stuck with me in a relationship. You know, by worldly standards, it could look victorious and successful, because Aquarius energy is also represented by the star, and the Knight of Pentacles can be, again, some people just want to look like, I moved on. Look, I got in a new relationship. But they still don't want to maybe be people who are more independent, get out of their ego, learn lessons in life. It's just to find the next person they can get to be stuck in a relationship with them. And some of the people in your life who tried to do that, and you know, something could have ended in your life. You were ready to move forward. You did learn some lessons. You were looking for people who you felt were more stable, enlightened, that you thought maybe were more on the same page as you. And then some of those people are, and those are people who, when they feel like holding back, being a little more stubborn or prideful or egotistical or manipulative or more about themselves, those people are kind of like, why would I do that? You know, I have someone in my life who wants to be in a relationship with me, who, and hold on to me, is enlightened to the truth that it is about love, and treats me in a just and fair, and is stable and grounded and loving and nurturing. Why would I do that? Why is it that it might require people to look at life differently, is what the Hangman talks about. You know, we can have people in our life who are loving and encouraging and supportive. We can be that way to people. And sometimes they look at life differently, that we really hadn't looked at life that way. And they're kind of ready to move forward in that way. And we're like, you know, again, it can be a little bit out of our comfort zone. And you know, and sometimes we're just not sure, do I want to keep investing in a friendship or a relationship? And if we come to the conclusion that, you know, I think their truth is different than my truth and how they want to keep moving forward, and it could even require taking a relationship further. It could, just different ways of how you view the dream life. Some people's idea of the dream life is, let's move to the big city, let's move to the small city, let's do this, let's do that. And we could just realize that their truth is different than our truth. And so with some people, it's just that their truth is different, and what they maybe even want to invest their time, energy, and effort into is what the pentacles can mean. Can I like you? Can I love you? Just like we have family members and friends and social acquaintances. Can I think they're great people and lovely people, or they just have the free will to live their life whatever way they want? Is that how I really want to live my life? And is that what I want to invest my time, energy, and effort into? No, but, so with a lot of people in our life, we're listening to our intuition to try to be enlightened to who are the people who really seem to be more on the same page as me that I might want to invest more into. I can have people in my life that I know, that I'm getting to know, and then trying to figure out what is their truth, what is my truth, what kind of drives and motivates them more, what do they like to, what's their long-term goals, because the Knight of Pentacles works its way to be the King of Pentacles, which can be growing and healing and maturing yourself, freeing yourself from more things that manipulate you. Does your pride, your ego, your immature nature, your codependent nature, your lustful, greedy, prideful nature manipulate you more than it manipulates me? Do I want to get in a relationship with people where I think there's things that still manipulate them to a degree that doesn't manipulate me anymore to that degree? I've kind of moved on from it, and I've kind of maybe grown and matured myself, and I don't want to live my life like that anymore. So it's kind of like you start a new phase of life, but high vibe people are continually kind of motivated that, things are a phase of life, and we go through a phase of life, and we maybe didn't even realize that then. But I am inspired to keep shedding things that manipulate me, and then we can go to the next phase of life, but then those people have things that manipulate them. Or they like staying in their comfort zone more, and they never plan to move on from that phase of life. It's like, again, if we take the analogy of when I was 15, I could have hung around certain people. And then when we were kind of more ready to take on responsibilities of like an 18-year-old and getting jobs and moving out, some of the other people didn't want to do that. And so then we kind of move forward in life differently. And then we maybe didn't hang out with those people as much. And then when it's going to be 21 and, but when you move to 18, you could have met people at that phase of life. But then when you're ready to become more like a 21-year-old, some of those people weren't ready to get out of that phase of 18. So it's always, we can meet people at the next phase of life that we go to, but then we keep moving forward with the people that we know who are ready to keep kind of facing their fears to go to the next phase of life. And some people won't move forward with us. Can we wish them peace just like people have moved on ahead of us and wished us peace? Yeah. And some of you might be doing that right now. There might be some people that's like, I don't think you're ready to go to the next phase of life. You might want to come with, but I think you might have some lessons to learn. You might be a little selfish. You might be a little prideful. You might be a little more deceptive and manipulative at this next phase of life. And I don't think I want you to move forward with me, or you keep wanting to repeat this old pattern, and I'm ready to move forward in life differently. And some people don't want to take accountability for their actions. And, the Four of Pentacles is like a minor arcana card. And in tarot, we have like the pages, the knights, the kings, the queens, emperor, empress, high priestess, hierophant. This would be someone who's learned 4 lessons in life. They have learned some lessons about things they shouldn't do, and maybe things they shouldn't align with within themselves, and people they shouldn't align with. But the difference between the Ten of Pentacles and the Four of Pentacles, and the high vibe people have already worked through their shadow nature to like be at the Ten of Pentacles. They've went through a phase of life. They too took some time to work through their ego and their fear and their insecurities, because we can always distance ourselves and move on from one foundation. But the high vibe people do this work within themselves to work. Just because you move on from something doesn't mean you're really ready to move on to something else. And especially if we've had people that were not who they presented themselves as being, who, it's confusing and it gets us up in our head and it can make us fearful about moving forward and going back out there in the world. And so the high vibe people do this work within themselves. And some of the people in your life could have been in that same phase of life. But then kind of when you're ready to move forward and they're not, you kind of completed the cycle of working through your fears and your insecurities and your ego to love and believe in yourself and put things in perspective. And so you completed the cycle and you're ready to move forward. When we have worked through all that, we've seen the truth of some situations, and now we're ready to completely let go of that Ten of Pentacles and move on from it and have a new beginning. But some other people in our life that could have been kind of going through similar things, they're still not ready. And they might not want, they're not ready maybe even to do the shadow work that you have to work through, or they're still stuck up in their head. I mean, it takes time to work through those things to be ready to move forward in life differently. And then they don't like that you're moving forward differently. They want you to stay here because that's where they're at. But it's like listening to your intuition. My intuition is telling me it is time for me to move on and that I am ready to move on. And if I keep aligning with other people who are kind of more stuck in a phase, it keeps me stuck in that phase, but that's not my truth anymore. And I am ready to move forward in life differently. And I wish you peace, joy, happiness. Hope it all works out for you. But sometimes people want you to be more codependent on you. Like the Four of Pentacles can be, I want to cling to you. And you are supposed to be the one to help me look at life differently. You are supposed to be the one to help me not get up in my head and keep life in perspective. It's like, I can be someone who offers those resources to people, but I have to see the truth when there's people in my life who they don't want to kind of, in the Four of Pentacles, take that within themselves to do that work within themselves. It's like, no, I just want to hold on to you and you be that person in my life. Well, that's a codependent relationship again. No, I need people who do this work within themselves. It's kind of like, if I want to be in a relationship with people who are loving and just and fair, and I'm loving and authentic and just and fair, I can have people who want to be in a relationship with me because I'm loving, just, and fair, but they still want to not really be that type of person. No, you keep staying in a relationship with me and you provide that to me. I need you to be that type of person. That's the high vibe people are telling the more shadowy people, but I need you to be more authentically that type of person. I can offer you truth and love and treat you in a just and fair and loving and encouraging manner, but until you become enlightened to the truth that it's not about trying to get people who are authentic and loving and just and fair to kind of manipulate them and deceive them and trap them in a relationship with you. You're supposed to learn in that environment that people are providing that's loving and encouraging and supportive to do this work within yourself, to free yourself so you can be that type of person. And for some people, they're like, well, no, that's not my truth. My idea was I was just going to get in a relationship with someone who's like that. And I was like, yeah, well, that's not my truth. That might have used to have been my truth. And I did get trapped and stuck in relationships because I can be a loving and encouraging person. And because I'm a loving and encouraging person and I wanted a dream to come into reality, and I was thinking if I was loving and encouraging that you would be enlightened to the truth and you would look at life from a higher perspective and you'd have more hope and faith and belief and love. But I've already been there and done that and realized some people They're always looking outside of themselves for other things or people to be the answer to their problems. And they don't think they need to do this work within themselves to free themselves from the things that manipulate them, like I did, to be that type of person. It's a free will choice. And that's what Gemini energy is about. And some people are like, well, no, that's not my truth, but I want to be in a relationship with you. Or I want to keep working here, but I kind of want to be lazy or manipulative and try to just skate by. And eventually employers are like, yeah, we're leaving you and we're going to go invest in someone else. You know, while you were trying to cheat the system and be more codependent and wanted people to indulge you in your more immature or whatever codependent ways of being, we're going to go find someone who really does want to put in the work and effort and has worked through their more defensive nature, egoic nature, manipulative nature, selfish nature, and that's who we're going to move forward with. So high vibe people are calling judgment on themselves, calling judgment on people in their life who they don't think are telling the truth, who aren't putting in work and effort to try to see things from other people's perspective, to get caught up in their head, don't want to move forward in life differently, but they create the illusion they do, but they really don't. And you're just enlightened to the truth. And I'm not going to let someone deceive and manipulate me and keep me stuck. You stay stuck on your own, and I'm going to move forward. What's going on in the bottom row? Well, we start out with a card not showing itself, which is the Two of Wands. Which the Two of Wands is that we all have a dream. We have this idea of what we expect the dream life to look like. The Two of Wands is kind of about our dreams, which is Aries energy, and the Seven of Swords, Aquarius energy, has to do with our dreams. And we can harness our Aries and Aquarius energy in a more worldly or shadowy way, or a more high vibrational way. But some of the people we got in a relationship with, or are currently working with, or whatever, we didn't realize that their dream was to be maybe defensive to getting out of their ego or learning lessons in their life or taking accountability for their actions. That is not their idea of the dream life. But we can end up getting in relationships with them and we don't realize that, oh, you don't want to do the inner work to free yourself from things that manipulate you. You think you can just create this illusion and get people to get in a relationship with you and then hope that those people kind of want to stay in denial of the truth because, you know, we can like people, we can love people, we can like a job. You know, we really want those things to work out. And that's sometimes what some shadowy people are counting on. That because you want this to work, you'll keep putting work and effort into it. And eventually people are like, I put in everything I could and none of them. If truth and love and justice and fairness and treating you the way I like to be treated and being loving and encouraging and all that isn't enough, well then I'm leaving. Because apparently nothing is good enough. Because some people, they are like a black hole. And that shadowy energy to a degree, at the big picture represented by the devil, I want, and I want more, and I want more, and I want more. And some people are like a black hole. You can't give them enough love. You can't give them enough encouragement. If they're materialistic or prideful or egotistical and want attention or money or status or power, enough is never enough. It's like filling a black hole because it isn't the answer. They think instead of doing the work within themselves to love and believe in themselves and hold themselves accountable for their actions and live their authentic truth from love, they think, no, that's not the way to go about it. I am sure I can just manipulate people to get them to do what I want. And I am maybe more about myself and I am kind of immature. And I like to work with people who offer love to people who are sad. So I might play the victim. Poor, poor, pitiful me. so that those people will, instead of moving forward with people who are more on the same page as them or investing in their own dreams, because they're a loving, encouraging person, they'll come back and try to help me love and believe in myself. And it's kind of like the devil has one person manipulated, and the devil can just be people's fearful, insecure, prideful, selfish, immature nature. And it's trying to manipulate people who are loving, who don't want to see the truth about people who are more immature, selfish, greedy, stubborn, and prideful, who don't want to take accountability in their life. And eventually, high vibe people, what some shadowy people didn't know about some of the high vibe people in their life is that those people are motivated to deal with the truth. The shadowy people don't ever want to deal with the truth. And that the high vibe people do believe in their dreams. But in their shadow nature, they could indulge people a little bit too much. But the high vibe people in the moon reverse don't want to live in illusion forever. And while they can be loving and encouraging people, and that could be, Sagittarius energy is about trying to inspire other people to look at life differently, to love themselves, to work through their fears and their insecurities, to be no longer in illusion. The moon in the upright can talk about not seeing things clearly, and they can try to help other people work through their fears and insecurities, but eventually, when they see that the people they're in a relationship with seem to be more about themselves and have no interest in working on those things that they kind of emotionally keep buried beneath the surface, or that they don't want to reveal the truth of or deal with the truth of. High vibe people don't want, eventually they feel stuck, deceived, and manipulated. They do this own work within themselves. I can love people, but if people aren't willing to offer me love authentically in return, I can't make someone love themselves. I can't make someone look at life differently. I can't make someone choose to sit in different thoughts and emotions. We have free will of what thoughts and emotions we sit in every day. Does that mean we deny the thoughts and emotions that we have? No, but I could give them, if I have some difficult ones I need to work through, instead of focusing on them all day, I could put in earbuds, I could listen to music, I could go get a job if I don't have a job. I could do all these things to keep my focus elsewhere, and maybe in the evening I give myself an hour to really purge through it and cry about it or whatever. And some people want to sit in it all day. Well, that's a free will choice. You have the free will to invest your time and energy into whatever you want to invest your time and energy into. And some people invest a lot of time and energy into trying to confuse people about the truth of who they are, hide that they're more selfish, manipulative, stubborn, and that's maybe why some other relationships didn't work out, but they don't want people to know the truth about that. But yet they keep not wanting, they think the answer is, I just need to either go indulge in these things of the world to make myself feel better. Drugs, booze, food, sex, drugs, gambling, whatever. Or I just need to go get in another relationship. That's the answer. It's like, no, that's not the answer. Until you are willing to be inspired, to put in some work and effort, to love yourself, and work through some of your fears and your insecurities, and see how you keep repeating a pattern that doesn't end well and people call judgment on you. Until you're willing to deal with the truth, you're going to keep repeating the same pattern, and it's going to keep happening over and over and over. Or if you're a loving person who keeps indulging people in poor behavior, it's going to stop you from moving forward with people who are more on the same page as you, because you don't want to see the truth, and you keep investing your time and energy into people who are more immature, prideful, manipulative, deceptive, selfish, don't treat you the way you treat them. That's your free will. You can do that if you want. But and life is about learning these lessons. Could we go through certain phases of kind of lessons we need to learn, we might have to go through it like 10 times. Because we so much don't want to see the truth, or we don't want to grow up, or we don't want to be more independent, or we don't love and believe in ourselves or believe in our dreams, until we get so tired of it, we just can't do it anymore. And then it's like, I can no longer stay in denial of the truth. I feel imprisoned. I feel trapped. I feel stuck. I feel like I'm being deceived and manipulated. And maybe it's because we really have a hard time of speaking our truth or investing in ourselves. We could think that's selfish. But if I'm offering other people truth and love and justice and fairness, I'm willing to work with them cooperatively, and I have done that, and they keep wanting to, no, I'm going to ignore what you're offering me. I still want to deceive and manipulate you. And I don't think you love and believe in yourself enough to become independent of me. Some of those people weren't listening to their intuition, which is what the moon can talk about, because some of them are full of themselves. And some people know that people love them. Some of these could be your adult children, but otherwise it's just immature people in your life. And they think, I know how people like you operate. That's why I don't align with my loving nature, because you can be manipulated in your loving energy. And I saw that play out in my life, and I decided I'm going to be one of the people who manipulates loving people. And we have to see the truth when people aren't treating us the way we treat them. I'm not going to stay in denial of the truth. You are being unjust, unfair. I don't have to tell you the truth. I can just quit hanging out with you. If they were motivated to say, I was selfish, I was greedy, I was prideful, I was bossy, I was controlling, and were willing to grow and mature themselves, they would be that type of person. And that's what we need to realize. When I'm going to hold back, I can meet all sorts of people in the world. I'm not going to invest more into them than I would just invest in anybody that I know at work, in my community. They're just someone I know. The pages can be, these small gestures of getting to know people. I'm going to get to know people to find out what their truth is. What kind of drives them, motivates them. If they seem to be a very loving person, authentic person, or if they seem to be live more from their mind than their heart, seem to be a little more deceptive, manipulative, egotistical, not very giving of themselves, not more authentic, don't seem to have learned some lessons in life. Yeah, no. And you keep staying in that, kind of like in the friend zone. And the people who have done this work to heal and grow and mature themselves, that I get to know and I see they do look at life from a different perspective. They have a more expanded perception of themselves and the world around them and what they believe is possible. And I think there's someone also that harnesses the Seven of Swords in a high vibe way, where they have their dreams also. That's like the Five of Swords that they're holding on to. And they're listening to their intuition about people and calling judgment on themselves and other people to hold people accountable for their actions and themselves. Well, that's someone I want to move forward with. And then the people who were more immature, who didn't offer love, who did hold back from you, weren't willing to look at life from any other perspective, were deceptive and manipulative. They see you moving on, and they're just going to try to repeat this pattern with someone else. Oh, look, there's someone who's sad. Maybe something didn't work out the way they wanted. I'm going to hide the truth of who I am. I'll try to present myself as more high vibe to trap this person into indulging me in a relationship in some way, until that person goes through all of this process and calls judgment on me and leaves. And some of those people could be going through that right now. And some of the shadowy people keep having this happen, but they keep wanting to stay in denial of the truth that they have a way of being in the world that they think is going to get them what they want. And as long as they keep not wanting to see the truth that you have to grow up, you have to hold yourself accountable for your actions, that there are consequences to your actions. But some people think, well, no, because I can keep manipulating people and confusing people about the truth of who I am. Well, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And other people listen to their intuition. And while some people keep repeating an old pattern, and other people seem to move on in life differently, eventually people start to see that it's like, I think you are kind of more motivated by yourself or your ego or your image or codependent, or more about you. And I think you get in relationships with people who are more authentic and loving and just and fair, and they eventually see the truth of who you are and they move on, and then you try to deceive everybody about the truth of why those people didn't want to keep investing in you, and eventually other people see the truth. You know, the people who get in a more involved relationship, you can know people, you could have known them since you were kids, but were you ever living with them? Were you ever in a relationship with them, like a roommate, for a long time, to really know how, like, maybe petty and snarky and immature and manipulative they really were? No. And until you do, you don't know. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy that they might not see coming up? High vibe people, there's some people in their life they're not communicating with or investing time, energy, and effort into. They know those people kind of were in this shadowy energy. And some of the people, they just went different ways. They wish them the best, It's not like just because everybody isn't moving forward with you or your friend or living life the way you live it, that they're awful. But you've seen the truth of who's who, and you wish people peace. Oh, are you moving forward in your own type of relationships like this? Oh, okay. And might make them feel a little stuck. It's like, gee, I thought you were going to move forward with me or whatever. But they work through it and they keep moving forward and they don't give up on their dreams. And they're not looking to just get in a relationship or whatever more out of fear and codependency or lust or greed. And some other people are doing that. And other people aren't. And when the high vibe people are ready to move forward in life differently, and they could have been challenged for the last time. The Ten of Pentacles could even be people in your own family, people in a friend group, people in a work group. How many times, even if you were to think of being a supervisor at a job, that you've had people who keep challenging you because you're loving and encouraging, and you don't want to just let go of people right away, and you put in this work and effort to try to get them to move along with you in the workplace, and then you kind of realize, like, damn, I keep getting some of these people who, it's like they want the job, but they really don't want to put in work and effort, and it's like, could I find someone who is motivated and inspired to do their job, enjoys their job? Do they make it the center of their life? No, because high vibe energy is about being balanced. But at least when they're there, they're motivated and inspired to invest in it, because that is where they're at that time of day, and it is for that. And then when they're not there, go focus on your life and your friends and your family. And sometimes other, even like people, employers and supervisors, and sometimes then they have people who come there and it's like, oh, wow, this person is doing it. Why do I keep, apparently there is people in the world who are in this energy. I'm definitely going to keep them. But some of these other people, I might tell them, we've seen that there are more people. I'm going to quit hanging on to you, and we're going to open up the employment opportunity for other people who might be more high vibe to come work for us, and thin out the crowd of people who really don't want to put in work and effort. What's coming up for some people who harness some... And then also here with the Two of Wands, we had to work through the fact that there was a dream we wanted to have come into reality, but it wasn't. And so we had to let go of that old dream, and we had to work through letting go of it. And that's when high vibe people want to get in a relationship with someone new, and they are done with the old relationship. But other people haven't gotten over the old relationship, and they just want to move on to a new relationship to maybe make themselves feel better while they're stuck and still trying to work through it. Well, and then, they kind of want someone to indulge them in a relationship while they're working through it. And some high vibe people are like, how about I'm going to let you work through it? And until you're ready to move forward, the Knight of Pentacles, again, going to the King of Pentacles, can be the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only marrieds through the deck. Some people could be in relationships, and some people aren't sure if they want to move to that next phase of life. And some of the people in their life might be, well, while you think about it, I'm going to let you do what you want. Or, if you want to go find someone else to get in a relationship with, to offer you love while you work through it, or you don't work through it. Because that might be your whole agenda is, I don't want to work through it. I'm going to move on. The Two of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. So the Two of Pentacles, there can be something that we were not wanting to see the truth of. Or we were working through these issues. And because in the Queen of Wands, the queens can talk about how we think and feel, you decided to emotionally invest in getting to the truth, to work through the confusion of it. And then in the Two of Pentacles, you kind of free yourself from something, and you've gotten more balance within yourself and realize it is about balance. If I'm going to work with other people, it has to be balanced. I have like my truth, they have their truth. Are we willing to work together? And High Vibe Leo is about being authentic and loving and all that good stuff. And if they're not, then in the Two of Pentacles, I pick up my investment in them. And I've gotten to a place of balance about the decision to move on. I'm no longer up in my head about it or confused about it. If they were motivated and inspired to be more authentic and just and fair and balanced and loving, they would be, and they're not. And I accept the truth of it, and I get out of my ego about it. They are who they are. I can't change people. The only people who can change people and the only person we can change is ourselves. We can stay in denial, we can stay stuck, or we can say this isn't working for me, and I don't have to explain why. Because some people, it would be like talking to a brick wall, or they'd try to use it to hold it against you or deceive or manipulate other people. It's like, this isn't working for me and I'm moving on. And I think as you're moving forward in that energy, there's other people who might like to hold on to you, aren't telling some people in their life that they'd maybe like to invest in you. But in order to be in a relationship with you, they would have to reveal the truth. And some of those people aren't willing to do that. They'd have to hold themselves accountable. They're not willing to do that. They could be in other relationships that they're in, and they could fear people judging them. They could have created an illusion that something was like their dream, but it maybe wasn't. Unless people are willing to reveal the truth, speak the truth, hold themselves accountable for their actions, and willing to let the world judge them. If you're taking action from truth and love and justice and fairness, and you have offered people in your life truth and justice to work cooperatively with them, and they're not, then let the world judge away, because the world's going to judge you more based on the truth of who they are, the different people in the world. The people who don't like people who are more willing to live their authentic life, not be manipulated and controlled. Well, the people who like to manipulate and control people, and the people who are manipulated and controlled, aren't going to like that, because it makes them question and cause them mental conflict about why they live their life the way they live it. So they'll be mad. And the people who are living a more authentic life and are in more just and fair and balanced and loving relationships, those people will be encouraging and supportive, probably because that's how they live their life. And they know they don't know everything that can kind of go on behind closed doors in workplaces and family dynamics and relationships, because they've dealt with those things in their own life. And they've had to hold people accountable and stand up for their truth. And some of the people in their life didn't like it. And I think the people that you are going to balance things out with are people who are more emotionally mature. Again, we can all be more immature. We all have lessons to learn. We all have to learn to love ourselves and get out of our ego and being more about the world, to work cooperatively with people. And I think the people that you're going to focus your time, energy, and effort into are people who harness high vibe Capricorn, high vibe Leo, high vibe Virgo, high vibe Sagittarius. People who are inspired to heal and grow and mature themselves, wrap their brain around this game of life, quit repeating old patterns, quit being manipulated by their own worldly, egoic, immature nature, and other people in their life who are happy when they're in that energy, because then they stay in relationships with them. It's like, I don't want to be in a relationship like that anymore. I want to be in a relationship with people who take responsibility within themselves to maintain balance within themselves. The Two of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. Shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the devil. I also view the King of Cups as Capricorn energy. We're either shadowy, trying to present ourselves as a much more stable, grounded person, or we've really done the work to grow and mature ourselves and free ourselves from our more immature, egoic nature. And it's listening to my intuition about who's who. And I'm going to listen to my intuition about who's who. And there are no guarantees in life, but I know my truth, and I know I can offer love and encouragement to myself to work through if things don't work out. And I can pick myself back up again. And I can keep moving forward. I can keep learning lessons. And other people, they're too fearful of that. Maybe they don't feel like they would be able to pick themselves up if they were really to be more authentic and just and fair. Isn't it crazy? I find it so crazy that I think some people, it is, you wouldn't think of it as like a pride and ego thing, but I think it is. But it's like, well, what if I were to be, I think this is what some shadowy people think. What if I were to be more authentic and loving and just and fair, and then it didn't work out? It's like, because of the way they view the world, which can be kind of this immature way of viewing the world, I would say it's kind of more like, well, then I'd be in my ego that I was more authentic and just and fair and loving. Shouldn't we be proud of the fact that we were authentic, just and fair and loving, and that we can be proud of ourselves, and that then we can take those to the next relationship if those things don't work out? Well, I know I can be, high vibe Leo, I can be proud of myself because I acted with character and integrity. But for other people, it's like, I'm so mad that I opened up to that person. I'm so mad that, and it's like, it just gets my brain confused to even think of it. But I think that is how some people think. You know, like as if some people won't appreciate it and value it, so then they think it's a reflection that what they have to offer isn't good, you know, so they take it personally. If you were authentic, truthful, and loving, how about they just weren't the person who's, you know, I can have people who want to be my friend and hang out with me more or date me, and I'm like, I'm not really seeing it. I don't think we're really quite on the same page. And I can have people I would like to hang out with more and date. And they're like, I really, why do we have to take it personally? How about we go, getting out of the illusion is I am going to go out in the world and be authentically more myself and treat other people with truth and love and be just and fair and balanced with them. And I'm looking for people who are more on the same page as me. And I might have my own unique things that I like to spend my time doing. I might like movies or bowling or who knows, whatever. And other people are like, oh my God, no, I want to do this and this and this. And I'm like, oh my God, no. We're just looking for people who are more on the same page as us. Get out of our more immature, egoic nature and feeling rejected. But I think some people really can get up in their head, and it could be kind of this immature, kind of egotistical, self-centered way that people should, if I want to get to know someone better or date someone or I like them, they should like me. It's like, and plus, we don't have any idea what could be going on behind the scenes with people that kind of make them act the way they act. It probably really doesn't have anything to do with us. How about we put our best foot forward? How about I know I can feel proud of myself that I tried to be loving and encouraging and supportive and just and fair and work with them cooperatively. And if that didn't work out, then how about maybe it's something that could be going on within them? Maybe they're not used to being in relationships with people who treat them that way. Because again, we'll all repeat old patterns. Nope. This is out of my comfort zone. I'm kind of used to working with people who are more stubborn or manipulative or deceptive. And I'm not used to letting my more authentic nature out to play, or this challenges me to heal and grow and mature myself. And usually I hang around people who don't challenge me to heal and grow and mature myself. So it's just out of my comfort zone. Be proud that we offer people truth and love. Keep offering people truth and love. Listen to your intuition. But if you offered the highest vibration of all and some people still rejected it, then they just reject that energy in general for reasons within them. It kind of makes me think of the story of Jesus and the disciples going out and spreading the good news. They didn't sit and cry and beg at people's feet. Well, why don't you have more hope and faith and belief in love or whatever? And they just wished people the good news. They listened to their intuition. If people didn't seem to kind of be hip on it, they wished them peace and they moved on. Get out of our ego about it. Everybody's got a plan for their life. Everybody views life the way they view it. When people are more open to being more authentic and just and fair and balanced and truthful and loving, they will be, if ever. And they may never choose to do it. So if you have a dream you want to manifest into reality, invest in the people who are on the same page. What do the shadowy people not see coming? The Star card and the Queen of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Judgment card. Well, they keep making the decision in the Aquarius energy, which can be more about themselves or more caught up in these things of the world. They keep deciding that either it should be more about them and people should want to emotionally invest in them because they kind of just more emotionally invest in themselves, and they've decided that's just and fair. So in turn, they think people should want to invest in them. They do. That's just and fair. For others, it's more about status and ego and image and money and materialism or things they want to indulge in, is living the dream life. And that's what's most important to them. And when people are more worldly or shadowy, there can always be other people in their life who would like to be in relationship with them, are in relationships with them, are in friendships, are working with them. But those people have a dream. They instead of harnessing a more shadowy Aquarius Taurus energy, the other high vibe people harness a high vibe Aquarius Taurus energy. And it's where people hold themselves accountable for their actions. And they want a dream to come into reality. And they've been trying to love and nurture these people to get them to make that free will choice. And if they keep not making that free will choice, their truth is different. how they want to live their life is different. And eventually some of the high vibe people in their life are going to call judgment on them. And because some people have been kind of indulging them in their poor behavior for quite a while, they kept thinking this is going to keep going on this way. But the thing is, eventually Judgment Day comes. And it comes like a thief in the night. One day people are there and one day people are gone, like the rapture. And they're like, what? Those people I was working with are going to offer themselves a cup of love? No longer willing to do the illusion? They completed the cycle. They saw the truth. They're holding back from me. They're defensive to me, don't want to invest in me. They've been illuminated that I've been deceptive and manipulative and more motivated by things other than love and called judgment on me. They didn't see that coming. And eventually the people who are going to stay in a relationship with them are probably people who think and feel the same way they do. Who also might be more immature, don't really like to open up, try to hide the fact that they try to deceive and manipulate people and get in relationships and want to stay in relationships more for the ego or the image or the status, or willing to indulge someone for those things. And eventually people do see the truth. They see who is more inspired by truth and love and who is more inspired to be immature or indulge people, wants to be indulged, is stubborn and prideful, egotistical, tries to present themselves as not being that type of person. But by their actions, it shows that love isn't really what drives and motivates them. It's either having someone in a relationship who will indulge them in their poor behavior, or they're also willing to indulge people in their poor behavior for the money, the status, the ego, the image, the power, the influence. And eventually, Judgment Day comes that they want to make their life more about the world, or repeating this. That's like a shadowy Taurus relationship where it's more transactional, or you're just more motivated and inspired by the world. And it could be about conforming to the world, hiding your truth, kind of operating more from your ego, and seeing who are really people more inspired by truth and love, who are more authentically themselves. They're not caught up in the illusion and trying to create an illusion about how wonderful their life is and getting in and staying in certain relationships for image reasons or lust or greed reasons or codependency reasons. They really are a stable, grounded, emotionally mature, balanced, loving person, and people kind of see the other people can be manipulated, and people will in turn manipulate them for these reasons. And until they're willing to see the truth of it, that they're trying to manipulate people, they don't really want to grow to their full potential, that they get in relationships with other people who don't want them to see the truth and grow to their full potential, who also want them to keep wearing a false mask, staying in their ego, staying in their fear, really don't have their best interests at heart. They have their own agenda for their own reasons. I don't want you to go live your more authentic life, because I'm living my life like this, and that would make me question my life. So I'm going to try to manipulate you or instill fear and insecurity in you or appeal to your lust or greed, because I don't want you to free yourself and be able to live your more authentic life. And one day some people might realize that some of the people in their life didn't have their best interests. But we all had to go through that. And until we're willing to stand up and get out of our ego and live our truth, they might just keep doing it forever. And other people are like, I can't keep living a life of illusion. If this isn't based on truth and love, I'm going to go live my life. You go live your life. So there you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.